Thank you for joining me here at the University of the District of Columbia. I always enjoy having opportunities to spend time with our alumni and hearing reflections about their experiences as Firebirds. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by 3 alumni who were all students here in the 1990s. We have Bernard Grayson, Melvin Witten, and Tony White Richardson. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we think about the 1990s, it was a unique time, a lot of interesting trends, a lot of good and bad fashion trends, a lot of musical trends. I spent a lot of time reflecting on the 1990s as the era that we saw the emergence of hip hop through the combination of R&B and rap music, right? That's what I remember about that time. But as you all think about your time then as a student and some of the trends that stand out in your mind, tell us a little bit about what you remember from that time, and we'll start with you, Bernard.
A lot of plaid. I think everybody was wearing like a huge lumberjack jacket and really, really baggy jeans. But the time, that's what sticks out to me. Just really baggy clothes and a lot of plaid.
Yeah, it's funny. I can remember that as well. And what about you, Tony?
Oh, I think I'm more leaning towards the music, like TLC, and like the emergence of a different kind of rap, which became hip hop, and it became edgier. In the '90s, the hip hop became edgier. So those are things I remember. Clothes-wise, I remember all this was very colorful, like crisscross and the backwards clothes, but I was too old to be wearing them, so I would have just admired them.
Right. And what about you, Melvin?
Yes, I definitely remember the fashion. I've always kind of liked fashion, so I remember that. But also in the more formal things, you had Ralph Lauren. A lot of people wanted to wear Ralph Lauren. You know, they kind of that little horse was a status symbol, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that. And you know, and we had Boyz II Men back then. So you know, as much as you had hip hop, you definitely had that really cool music and Donnell Jones and people like that. So I remember that. Andre Harrell.
Oh yeah. Well, there were some good times. And then thinking about the '90s. Unique to the district and what was going on here at the time. It was a tough time, right, for district residents. The city was experiencing a lot of financial woes that impacted the institution with budget cuts and declining enrollment that resulted from some of the tough decisions that had to be made within the city. Tell us, starting with Tony, what do you remember about that time as a student?
It's funny you should say that. Listen to this. I was up in graduate school, okay? My niece was in undergrad in the music department. I was in adult education. And we were under control board. And the budget has been slashed like no other. I mean, and it was impacting the facilities and what was offering and staffing and all issues at the university. But what I liked is that they kept pushing forward regardless. But here's what was cute. I'm in my graduate school class, and when I get out of class, I look and I say, what's going on? That's when the kids took over Connecticut Avenue. The young kids took over Connecticut Avenue, shut it down in their protest. So when I left my class, I decided, well, join them. So for a hot minute, I joined them. But I understood what they were doing. It was necessary. What I loved about it is that they were making a statement about, we go to this institution, we wanted better. We wanted the control board to do better, and the young people couldn't have said it any better. And I also have to admit, they took over one of the buildings, and I remember me and my sister going out and bringing them food because my niece was up here. So it was playing a role, but letting them do what they needed to do to the fullest extent. And you're right, a lot was going on, period. I mean, that was the crack epidemic.
I ain't want to throw it.
Okay, I got to go there. That's why I guess whatever going on now, I just say, hey, it must be waves and phases. That was major. We didn't have fentanyl. We had crack. And I say that for a reason. Okay? So that was going on, I mean, with this control board thing, but we held it together. We survived it. We emerged from it. Okay? And being that I was living in the city, and I still do, there was also various points of people exiting the city. And that was a period also people thought they needed to exit the city.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you.
And now they can't get back in the city.
Right, yeah, right. Time to change, right? Oh, yeah.
But I'm just saying, but the university, it was hard.
Yeah.
You know, but you still had a campus life. I cannot say you still had a campus life.
Right, yeah.
You know, and I guess that's what I appreciate.
Yep.
You know, they were somewhat removed from all the foolish street stuff.
Right, yeah.
They were here, these kids were here trying to get an education. So that was always admired.
Yeah.
That was always a plus.
Okay. Thank you. And Melvin, what do you remember?
Well, interestingly enough, like some others, this was my second time coming back to UDC. And at this point, you know, if my mom was here, she'd say, well, that boy was finding himself, and now I'm serious.
Right, yeah.
And I actually worked full time and went to, UDC full time in the evening.
Okay.
So a lot of the daytime activities I didn't participate in. And, I actually worked up the street at the National Naval Medical Center, which is now Walter Reed. And so I would see myself flying down Wisconsin Avenue, getting on Connecticut, trying to make that 5:30 class. So a lot of those things were going on. But again, you always kind of knew that there were economic scenarios, and being, having this wonderful institution in Ward 3 was a situation where it was always political pressure.
Yeah.
Put the campuses in Southeast. I'm a boy from Southeast, so I understood, the connotations of what that meant.
Right.
It's almost like they didn't feel that we were worthy to have a campus like this up here. And I'm just so glad that, the people that were the administrators fought through that time and allowed us to still be here. And a lot of us are sitting here today worthy of that situation. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you. And Bernard?
So I'm fortunate to be here with these two pillars of this university. And going back to what Trustee White Richardson spoke on, I was a 17-year-old college student in 1993 attending the University of the District of Columbia. And when she speaks to the epidemic that the city was faced with at that time, this was the safest place to be in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
I had a older big sister, best friend, who worked in the speech pathology office. Her name was Larita Monaghan. And I can remember not having a lot of money, just enough money to take the train up here because I had a full load, and I would sleep in her office in between classes. And what I mean when I speak of the safe space, I could do my homework. I had to go back across the yard, 15,000 people on campus. I would have rather been here each and every day, Monday through Friday, going to my classes as opposed to being back in Southeast, being around the way and not knowing what I wanted to do with my life at that time. I am blessed in what, going back to what Melvin said, I was here in 93, I stayed till 94, I left. I came back in 1999. When I came back, I was refocused. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And my brother, Ricky Wilson, almost went to Howard on my second time around. And he was like, nah, we're not going to do that. You're going to go enroll at UDC and you're going to be successful. And I fought him so hard. I don't want to go there. And he was like, it's going to be the best thing you ever did in your life. And when I came back the second time around, got my first degree, my second degree, my third degree, and even came back for my fourth, I don't know where I would be without UDC. Wow. The professors here were awesome. The students that I met here were just top flight. And I do not regret 1 minute of attending this university, and I would not be where I am if I had not gone to school here. I'm sure of that.
Awesome.
I want to add one more thing. Because I was in graduate school, and then they had graduate school clubs, organization, student body.
Right.
It was a graduate. Some of the graduate students, along with the undergrad, we brought Sounds of Blackness here. It was, and Sounds of Blackness was hot during the 90s. It was packed to the gills.
Is that right?
So not only things happening outside the university, not only were we protesting, but we did not have a good time in between.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Now, thinking about the 90s, right? We've heard about trends, right? We heard some reflections about the turmoil that was going on around the institution and the important role that the institution played in insulating you from some of those things. As we think about the future, right, we know, and you all, each of you are a perfect example of this, right? UDC is known for developing and fostering leaders. Bernard is known to say what? Firebirds lead the way.
Firebirds lead the way.
Right? So as you think about that, share with us how your experience as a student and a member of the UDC community, how did that help shape you as a leader in your personal, professional life today? Tell us a little bit about that process, and we can start with you, Melvin.
Oh, I go first? It's amazing. So they had a major called printing management. So, I graduated out of the School of Engineering and Technology. And so they kind of combined the engineering and technology with business management skills. So I finished that, and everybody thought, oh, I'm going to go work at the government printing office. But I said, no, I want to be a leader, and I wanted to go to law school. And I came out of here in '92, went to Howard Law right across the street, and from '92 to '95, and had their entertainment law track. So from there, my first job out, I worked at a little place called Motown Records, and you talk about your love for the music. We had Boyz II Men, Stevie Wonder, etc. I mean, from there I worked for the Screen Actors Guild and Warner Brothers, and got hired, brought me back from California to BET, and I worked there as a director. And so I've had an opportunity to just be a leader. I actually came back here and worked in the media department with a Dr. Bobby Austin, and a lot of the, I was in here the other day. I said I've been in this office before, and I've run, scenarios here. So it's just a great leadership situation. I've taught here as a professor. I've taught at Howard University as a professor. So, in the Chadwick Boseman School. So no, it really prepares you. And a lot of times people say, I know that law degree was the best. I said, no, the best was the UDC degree, because then it let me know I could do it. See, a lot of times you just need to know that you can do it, and then at that point, as they say, the sky's the limit.
Awesome. Thank you, Bernard.
I could actually say, of course, I'm gonna always give kudos to the School of Business. The School of Business is basically my parent when it comes to the University of the District of Columbia, and it goes back to something that Trustee White Richardson just said. I was in the Business Management Association first. That was my first introduction into what leadership would look like and what it is, and how it got me to be where I am. After being in the Business Management Association, that allowed me to see another side of UDC, because a lot of people didn't realize that we do have student life here, that there is a component that is here to cultivate us as leaders. A part of being at the Business Management Association, then I got introduced into the University of District of Columbia Undergraduate Student Government Association. And I met the most dynamic advisors that they became my mom and my dad. Beverly Gurley, Murray Robbins, Mr. Pinckney. They allowed us to be able to make mistakes on our journey to leadership. And in becoming the student body president, at that time we had a vice president, Dr. Clemmy Solomon, who saw the importance of leadership development, and they would send us all over the country, myself and 20 other members of SGA, and they developed us as leaders. They introduced us to other CEOs who were interested in what we were doing in DC and wanted us to be successful and be great products of this institution. And that changed my life.
Awesome, thank you. Tony?
As I was sitting here listening to both of them, and then Bernard mentioned two ladies that I know very well. I have to, Beverly Gurley and Mary Robbins, I know them through other venues, but not only the I knew they worked at UDC. But when you talk about leadership, for me, leadership is about being able to be connected. The best leaders are connected. They know this person, that person, the other. And the one thing that the University of the District of Columbia allowed me to do is to even expand that connectedness. From a historical perspective. I never walked on this campus and did not feel like I didn't belong. But knowing the history of this institution, I always felt like I belonged. So when you feel like you belong, you can always step out there. It's when you feel like you don't belong, you hesitate, you don't do. So I came on here feeling very much at home, knowing a few things, and then being able to do that adult ed major. And I say that's important because we had it, we took it away, and then we brought it back at the graduate level. It was one of the few programs on the East Coast at the time. So you really felt special. So having said that, I want to say this much. It was just me to be comfortable in my skin, to be able to do what I do, and the university just supported it. It just tied it all together for me.
No, awesome. And last question, 5 seconds each. What do you want to tell current and future Firebirds, starting with Tony?
There's a future. Current and future Firebirds is a future. Take what you got and run with it.
That's right.
Yeah, we had a motto with Howard Law that said, lift as you climb. Lift as you climb.
All right.
Firebirds lead the way.
There it is. Well said.
Thanks, sir.
Well, thank you all again. It's a pleasure hearing some of your experiences and reflections about a powerful time, the 1990s, and look forward to seeing you all again in the future. I am Maurice Edington, UDC President, and I hope you join us again as we take another look at the legacy of the University of the District of Columbia.